This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, with the gang all here.
Okay.
Yay!
Oh, look at that. It's like nobody really is excited to see each other.
my
Screw you all.
enthusiasm.
Yay!
Alex was gone for a week at the beach and didn't even see any of us, and he's more excited than anybody.
Yeah,
He missed them.
I did.
He did miss us. Today is Monday, June 30th, and while we took some time away, major sports championships did not, as we crowned champions in the NHL and NBA.
Champions.
So we'll dig a little bit into that, because we all know that the NBA and the NHL are the two most favorite sports of this podcast.
I like NHL.
Honestly, I think that's Alex's role. Alex's job is to keep us in the other sports, because he always is upbeat about the other stuff, and I appreciate that about him.
Takes more muscles
go.
to frown than it does to smile.
Yeah, see?
Jim, Nate, myself, and fellow degenerate Noah supported the Circus Saints and Sinners golf scramble that helped benefit Miracle League this past week. Jim, Nate, takeaways from the day, the temperatures, the elements, the conditions, the new shirts and golf towels that we have.
It was hot. Noah damn near killed me on a golf cart, and the new merch is amazing.
Noah did put Jim and himself into a compromising situation on pretty much the end. At the end of the whole day,
Literally on for us on hole 17, I think it was.
It was our 17th hold play near the green. I heard first Jim's cry of concern. I'm not sure exactly what you said, Jim, but it was loud enough and boisterous enough, and I think the language was strong enough that I looked over.
Yeah.
And they were going backwards down a hill.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy. How did
And then Noah did not drive the golf cart again.
He did not.
Wait, why didn't you just hit gas go?
Well, he was trying to avoid the green, and I said, because again, he's not the most, etiquette following son of a gun. I said, buddy, you can't go to the green. Don't even get near it. Muff will be mad. Golfers will be mad. Don't even go near it. He said, oh, okay. And he turned it up the hill. And I was like, you're going to take us straight up a hill when you could have just, just gone around it. He said, I got this.
Oh, no.
And he kicked it backwards. And we just Tokyo drifted down the hill. And I don't think he's familiar with physics. But he was on the bad side of the drift.
I think at that point of the day, Jim, I don't think Noah realized what he was doing with all the beer he consumed.
No, he wasn't even that. Trust me, I've seen him worse. But I just don't think he understood physics. Because if we'd have rolled, he was dead. So I grabbed him, squeezed him real tight, so that I could throw him over my hip and out the cart if we did roll. And I was screaming, it was not going to be okay, because I thought, we're done. We're going to roll. I'm going to get hurt, but I got to save the little man's life. That was the only thing I kept thinking. So
Jim was ready to go, but Noah did not drive the cart after that.
No, he did not.
There was not a catastrophe. Especially without the medical degenerator around, too.
It would have been terrible.
It would have been treated by dirt, Alex. Dirt and tourniquets.
And tussin.
Yeah. Dirt and tourniquets. That should be
Tussin for illness, not injury, I forgot. Dirt for injuries.
Yeah, it's inside illnesses. We don't know about those yet.
Dirt, tourniquets, and tussin.
Dirt, tourniquets, and tussin. It worked in the Napoleonic era and probably still works now. So that happened. Alex, we finished 1 under par as a group, which is not as well as we did last year.
So I'm secure. My spot's secure.
You're still coming, buddy.
You're in for next year, as long as the benefacting group still allows us to play.
Yeah.
Nate, are we invited back?
I don't see why not.
If the golf cart would have gone, if there would have been a golf cart incident, we would have been invited back.
Noah may not have been.
Yeah,
That
no.
would have been up for review.
Jim, you almost had a bit of an altercation early on in our round.
Yeah, this guy behind us, we were actually doing okay. First hole, we hit, I felt like we were keeping pace. Muff, you're the golf expert.
We were a bit behind, but we weren't terribly behind pace.
But we weren't behind because of golf. We were trying to get there, and everybody was just kind of lined up. We were putting sunscreen on. I felt like the play of that first hole compared to every other hole, nothing had gone awry yet. But he comes up behind us and he's like, no offense, but you can the highest you can go is a bogey on a hole. And I was like, okay, yep. And I kept my cool. And I want my flowers, Muff.
Sure, Jim. That's why I wanted to bring this up. I appreciate you not wanting to cause a scene within the first 20 minutes of the day.
Thank you.
Was anyone playing past the
Thank
bogey?
you. I don't think we did we?
No, we had
No, so
we had
that
two birdies
was-
and a bogey.
So that first hole was weird though, because there was a couple balls that we hit fairways,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and we went and looked for them, and we couldn't find them. Like we
Yeah.
don't know if it rolled just off the fairway or the grass was just fairly freshly cut. So we're like,
Yep.
okay, did it get stuck underneath some dead grass that was just cut? Like for whatever reason, we took a while to find a couple golf balls, and I don't think that guy behind us really cared for that. But whatever. We
Then they
opened up.
started shooting at us.
Well, we started on a par 4, and they started on the shortest par 3 on the course.
Yeah.
It was what
Oh.
it was. But I
Red
was
River.
concerned that Jim may have an issue.
I was fine.
What else? We have new golf towels, courtesy of Harper and Company.
Harper and Company.
Thanks to Sam for putting the dual sponsorship on there. Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff logo on one side, the Harper and Company logo on the other
I
side.
would like you guys to know I did
Good
wear
stuff.
my Sports Stuff with Jim Muff t-shirt at the beach.
Hell yeah.
Did you have anybody ask you about it?
I did not. Well,
It wasn't
I
your
was just saying,
family.
no one that wasn't my family. But I did wear it out to dinner. So I was hoping maybe someone that we wouldn't
Ooh.
know would have just scanned it at least.
No new subscribers. Sorry.
We did have people ask us what the QR code would go to. I had an old man ask me if it would take him to his OnlyFans.
His OnlyFans or your OnlyFans?
Our OnlyFans. I was like, well, that's not a bad idea.
No one wants to see that.
Well,
But it was a hot one. The group braved the day.
man, that was terrible.
So Jim was the most impacted by this.
So hot.
Shout out Gingers.
I didn't get burned. Actually, if you looked at Noah the day after,
Yeah.
I was not the worst one impacted.
Well, he kept telling you every other hole, Jim, sunscreen.
Yeah, exactly.
He did. That way he didn't get in trouble.
My boy had my back.
I feel like
Your
He,
boy had
however-
your wife's
I was
back.
just gonna say. I feel like there was a whole thing before you left. Jordan probably gave him a speech.
Yeah. But he's fried.
Is he?
He is cooked.
Yeah, I got some today, but I'll be fine by tomorrow morning. All right, so anything else from the golf event, gents?
Ah, good time.
Got out
Thanks.
just before the storms.
Also very true. Shout out for Noah coming and filling in for Alex. Appreciate it. He got a shirt and a golf towel out of the deal.
Oh,
Yeah, buddy.
Wear it around
So,
Columbus.
In addition to this week, Nate and the Guru of Glitter Sam took a trip to Boston,
Boston.
where they saw a Boston Red Sox game. So, Nate, some highlights of your weekend, and how was Fenway?
Fenway was everything you would expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So get there Friday afternoon, and I'm like, well, actually Friday morning. And she's like, well, what day do you want to go? I'm like, well, let's go on Friday. That way it's in the evening. We can do whatever we want during the day. It's not like in the middle of the day, because Saturday's game was at 4, and then obviously we're going to do Sunday flying home. But get there, perfect weather compared to here. Like we were just talking about how hot it was. I think there it was like a high of 74 or 73 that day.
Nice.
So get down there. I told her, look, probably the only time we might get here. So let's go experience it. Get there early. Walked around the stadium. Got to see just what actual baseball stadium with true fans. Well, not true fans, I guess, but a true baseball town where like it's packed, like every seat is taken,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's there tailgating in a way, like at all the bars and the shops and stuff around. And one thing that was definitely different that I didn't think about with it being an older stadium, we walked around the back to go towards like the home plate entrance, and by the time you got to about just past the left field entrance, they actually had their security there where you go through metal detectors, because with it being an old stadium, there was no room in there to put the metal detectors and all that. So you actually have the one street between home plate and left field where you have to scan to get in, and like the team shops across the street, all the different, like there's concessions in there. There's not that many inside on the concourse level, like up on top of the grandstands where we were. But definitely unique with all the red brick, the green monsters, seeing that in person, and the old school seats that are all wood. All they do is just they repaint them and refinish them a little bit every once in a while. So you definitely get that old school feel to it and everything, and all the pillars around where I made sure I picked a good seat that I didn't have to watch through the game through a pole. But even though the Red Sox lost the game 9-0, it was still a memorable experience, and definitely recommend anybody to go.
Sweet. What were Sam's thoughts? Did she have any thoughts on the game?
She was like, "Did they do anything like they do in Pittsburgh with the pierogi race?" The answer is no. So I think she, for not being much of a sports fan in general, I think she still enjoyed it.
Good. Any other highlights from the weekend? Any places visited that you either were super pumped or didn't expect to have as good experiences as you did?
We did the the Freedom Trail when we got there, and that was like a 2.5 hour walking tour. So that kind of kicked our ass a little bit first thing off the plane. But again, it wasn't hot or anything. Their little Italy called the North End was really impressive. I mean, you think Little Italy, where you go anywhere else, like just walking through there, like all the smells and stuff, like you think, and like you see people say, like if you're going on a touristy area, like if you see people out with like pictures of the menu or whatever, like or the items, you're like, oh well, the ones that don't show the pictures are supposed to be better. Like you walk through all these different like restaurants, you don't see any pictures on the menus anywhere. There's like 2 or 3 different bakeries, and like the one that we ended up going to this morning, you should have seen last night. The line was like around the block. It was like that all day. We did
Is it a famous one?
Yeah, they say there's like 2 or 3, but this one that's called Mike's Pastry is supposed to be the cream of the crop. So we went there like as soon as they opened this morning, so we can get stuff before we head to the airport. And then we did the Boston Tea Party ships and museum was pretty cool, kind of like an interactive thing. And like everybody's like there super in character.
That would be really cool. I would want to see that historical stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then we did Samuel Adams Brewery tour and got like 4 samples of beer. And they were saying like they have, I think, 15, maybe 16 beers on tap. And the ones that were labeled like 1 through 5 are stuff you'll see, like your Boston Lager, your Summer Ale, stuff like that. You'll see in your local grocery store. But anything that was labeled like 6 through 15, they do just exclusively there, or maybe some smaller like local businesses, because those are all beers that are in like the early stages, like research and development kind of thing.
That's pretty sweet.
So we got the behind the scenes of that, and got to sample a couple of the different beers that like you can't like go down to your Kroger, your Respecs, or your local grocery store and get.
Cool.
So that was pretty neat.
Good.
Those are like the only tour things we did. Everything else, like Subway, was pretty easy to navigate. Just went and walked around the harbor one night. Low Italy one night. They had like this big park that we sat around in this morning, where there's like different pop-up vendors and performers and stuff like that. Just took in all the different sites this morning. So again, there's plenty to do that we didn't do, but everything we wanted to do, we did. But definitely something we're going to probably go back, just a matter of when.
Nice.
All right. Nate and Sam with a good weekend in Boston, which brings us into the leadoff, but not before, as always, thanks to everybody interacting with our content on social at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Ding ding, get that bell on. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, like the YouTube channel, as we're going to give away some merch when we get to 100 subscribers.
Gotta start wearing my shirt more.
Bingo. Into the leadoff. RIP to MLB and Pirates great Dave Parker. Passed away, or at least the news of his passing came on Saturday afternoon, shortly before the Pirates game against the Mets. And a phrase that he is famous for helping to coin, I think should be potentially in line for slogan of the podcast. If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys bopping.
Oh, I like that.
Don't come at
Homage.
the Parker family.
Yeah, we credited
please,
him.
please don't come after us.
Well, I mean, Homage has a shirt out with that exact thing, so pretty sure we need to tiptoe if we're going to try to make that a thing.
What, do you think Homage paid for it?
I'm sure that somebody's getting the licensing off of it. It's my point.
Okay, we're just going to make it a slogan. We're not going to put it on any t-shirts.
That's right. Just,
TM.
I mean, if the
double stamp, triple
beanbag
stamp.
bop snagged us, we might be in trouble somewhere.
Alex, don't sing that damn song.
Sorry.
In the NBA, the Thunder took Larry O'Brien Trophy and the championship in 7 games over the Pacers, who lost Tyrese Haliburton to an Achilles injury midway through the first quarter. In the deciding game, OKC will be returning their core team next year and added a top 15 pick thanks to their front office prowess in recent years. Anybody watch Game 7 aside from me?
Nope.
I watched parts of it. We were at the beach, so we were watching it like in restaurants and stuff as we went in and out.
Got it. After OKC wins, nothing really cool about their celebration party in Oklahoma City that I saw. With the Pacers now likely without Tyrese Haliburton for the entirety of next season, as is speculated, as he tore his Achilles. It is worth mentioning that there was some local ties to the Pacers in their team and some successes in the playoffs, including T.J. McConnell from Pittsburgh area, who went to Chartiers Valley High School. He was a key contributor to their playoff run, and over last offseason, I think he signed a 2 or 3 year substantial deal to stay with the Pacers. So see what the Pacers do next year, and we'll see if OKC can be in a position to repeat.
I mean, you have to give.
Also in the NBA.
No, I was just gonna say you have to give the Pacers a ton of credit here. I mean, everyone counted them out pretty hardcore, so.
They were underdogs in every series to win the
And they
series.
made it to Game 7 of the finals, so.
Yeah, they outperformed all of the expectations in every series except for the finals. So, also in the NBA, Cooper Flagg, former Duke player, goes number 1 to the Mavericks. Amid the speculation of how the Mavericks got that pick after trading Luka Doncic and having a 1.5% chance of getting the number 1 pick, that was not what was unexpected. But something that did come out of the draft is Ace Bailey at number 5 caused a bit of a stir as he was drafted to the Utah Jazz, and he said that was not one of the teams that he wanted to play for. Should a number 5 pick in the NBA draft or any top pick have any type of say in where they get drafted or where they play, specifically talking about the NBA?
Oh, they can.
Jim.
It's basketball. I don't care.
Glad we have a sports show.
I think it
Alex.
makes you sound like a total jerk. I mean, regardless of what league you're in. When you just got drafted, you don't get to pick. You get in there, prove yourself, and if you want to get traded from there, go for it. But shut your mouth and play for who you get drafted for. There's a million people out there that would love to get drafted in the NBA.
Not surprising that's Alex's take. Nate.
I agree with Alex completely. Like, okay, most guys get drafted early. You know you're going to a team that sucked last year. But I get it. Like, you don't want to go play for this team, but at the same time, you're good enough to be a number 5 pick. Go make your money, play out your rookie contract, then don't re-sign.
Yeah, I think in the NBA, it's just weird to me because a number 5 pick does not hold the same weight to me as a number 5 pick in the NFL draft. Um, I mean, really, after the top few picks, there's a whole bunch of people that we don't even recognize names for, even if you keep up casually with some college basketball or even other just
Well,
general
so many people
basketball.
come
So
across the pond.
across the pond. So I think like the top 3 picks are usually pretty pumped, and also just the amount of money that these top picks can make in the NBA draft is pretty intense. So for that reason, I'm just like, all right, man, don't. It's not the time to grind that axe right now. Um, let's let some stuff play out. So, anything else from the NBA draft? Anybody saw of note of interest?
No.
No, sir.
What about the, and I say this just because I don't know his name, the player from China who was picked in like the top 20, who was in like the stands because he was not expected to be picked until like the second round. He wasn't like down on the floor or down on like the arena floor or anything like that. He was picked and he stood up in the middle of where the common folk were in the stands and then walked down. It was pretty cool to me.
That is pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah. In the NHL, the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup for the second year in a row as they take out the Oilers in 6 games and then continue the time-old tradition of the hockey players celebrating in the best way possible with the best trophy in sports and just having a day.
They did. They broke it.
So they did have some damage pretty early on, I think within the first 12 hours.
I thought it was like on the ice.
So
Yeah,
I didn't even see that.
yeah, I think they dented it on the ice.
I will say
Nice.
also that, and I think it's true. Didn't they like take it back out for the like for the people that work in the stadium or whatever? I
Yeah,
thought it was kind of
they did.
Yeah, there was a video. Someone brought it out
Yeah.
as they were cleaning
I
up
thought
the
it was a
stadium.
pretty cool gesture.
That is. Nate, did we see any injuries?
Yeah, I
Any
was just
crazy
going back
injuries?
to the group on Instagram, and there was one that you sent that said their main player, Matthew Tkachuk, reveals that he played in the playoffs with a hernia and a torn adductor muscle, which he had torn away from the bone. Alex, how freaking significant is that to play through?
Probably pretty painful. Um, the hernia, that depends. So a lot of people have hernias and don't realize they have them until they start getting symptomatic. It's still uncomfortable though. The torn muscle from the bone, it almost sounds like an avulsion fracture type deal. Um, but yeah,
Doesn't
Layman's-
seem real.
what?
That doesn't seem real.
It's real.
What?
Like what you're
What doesn't
saying.
seem
Tearing
real?
something
What
away
he's
from
saying
the
doesn't
bone.
seem real.
Tearing.
Like-
Who? The actual injury or how Alex is explaining it?
All of it. It seems fake. And I know it's real, but it doesn't feel real. Like, oh, you win all this, you have all the things that Nate said, and then the technical aspects that Alex is saying, it doesn't feel. This feels make believe.
Like he didn't really do it.
No, like, yes. Well, on my conspiracy brain says that didn't happen, but my like fan suspending disbelief for a second. How does one win a Stanley Cup with the parts hanging off?
Hockey players are built different.
Why aren't they in the Army, like, or the Marines, or
Because they're good
They don't get paid the same way.
Because they're good at hockey
But-
and it's safer.
why aren't we cloning them?
I'm pretty sure they make some clones. I'm pretty sure there's a few nights there may be some clones made.
That's just they're insane.
It is indeed. That I did see that one, Nate. I think you shared it with us. That was the one that was most, I would say, looked the most painful to me.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I want Jim to go in front of like Brad Marchand and those guys and say, what these injuries are. These are make believe. I just
but
want to see their response to him.
I don't mean that as like NFL's rigged. I believe that more than these guys were playing with parts hanging off. Like there's part of me that really, really believes that. Like 95% of me says, yeah, that happened. But that 5% of me is like, how? I just no. I can't.
Speaking of somebody who made pieces of people fall off or not be where they're supposed to be, John Bones Jones has officially retired.
Fuck cokehead.
Jim, do you think this is all the way for real, or is he going to be brought back into the game for a big payday later?
He sends a tweet out, and maybe this is me biting into social media, but he wants to duck Tom Aspinall, in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure that he would bite on a different fight with an older guy or a more money profile fight anytime. I think he's just ducking.
Doesn't want to have his record tarnished.
Yeah, he wants to stay the greatest and wants no challengers.
But also, how old is he?
I really don't care.
Okay. Like, at some point, people actually just need to be done.
He still had some time
You
left
think?
in him,
Yeah.
I would say, as far as like a fighter's age. I don't know what his age is, Alex. I'm going to say he's mid-30s.
I didn't know how old he was, to be honest, and that's like...
I may be totally wrong,
Sometimes I
but that's my
judge people
guess.
more that have like a huge fall from grace because they didn't know when to throw in the towel.
I think he's a joke.
Imagine that.
So you think hockey
call him
players?
cokehead and
I hope
he's
he's
a joke.
listening to it.
So you
I
think
do.
fighters are jokes? You think hockey players exaggerate their injuries?
I didn't say they
Give him
exaggerate.
his
I
ass
just
beat.
have a hard time believing it. I have a hard time believing the hockey players, and I think John Jones is a joke.
You know those shows where they like put regular people in
Yeah,
in
yeah.
sports things?
Before we
When
move
you-
on, Jim, any other freezing cold takes?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. I just think
You have any baseball players you want to call out? You want to call it Paul Skeens? We can put you in batter spots against him.
I'm just telling you.
That's what we
Who
need to do.
else?
We need to have a group outing and take Jim to a batting cage.
That would be kind of fun, actually.
Soccer players. Leo Messi.
All right, you know what? He's the greatest of all time. You guys want me to like stand for
No,
him?
I really wanted you to go in like a soccer sport and really have a take that we could be like, you know what, Chip, you might be right on that one.
Like soccer players flop too much. Oh, okay. Some truth
Yeah,
on it.
I was trying to spoon feed you something, Jim, that we might get behind you on.
All right, guys. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm just
I
gonna be
feel
quiet.
Okay.
We just gave you an opportunity.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay, Tom Brady and Sidney Sweeney reportedly have been talking at parties, events, and
How
whatnot.
do you follow up my shit
Point
with like
times
this?
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be...
How do you bust my ass about my takes on this and we make this sports news?
I mean, it's definitely a headline. It belongs in the leadoff.
Okay.
Tom Brady, Sidney Sweeney. Just saying, Tom.
Who put this in here? Can we just ask? I just asked
100% I did.
this. But you were like, LeBron signing his extensions. NBA stuff happens all the time.
Jim, do you know the
But
situation
Tom
of him signing
Brady
the
and
extension?
Sidney Sweeney, do you know that they're hooking up? Is that factual or is that TMZ?
I just said they're quote unquote talking.
Okay.
And I mean, Jim, you just said it was basketball. I don't care.
I know, but I mean, do you see my
But
point
what do you
here?
want to talk about then?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. What do you want to talk about that's basketball
Not
related?
this
Have at it.
one.
You don't want to talk about Tom Brady?
The media is making LeBron James's extension and not pushing for more money, just simply opting into the extension as his way of chasing a championship. That he's making this sacrifice as a way to chase.
sacrificing by making over $50 million per year.
Right.
I'll sacrifice
Right.
anyway. If anyone wants me to sacrifice, I'll take only $50 million.
He's doing it for the team.
Well, he's doing it so they can actually put pieces around him and make up for his old ass on the court.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean,
I
he's
mean,
just
that's the real take. I agree with you on that, but the media saying LeBron wants to chase the ring.
The ultimate humanitarian. Well, Jim, if you want to dive into this, you also need to know that he was, within the past few weeks, on a podcast and did an interview where he said rings weren't the mark of the best players ever in the NBA. Because he does not have the rings to back up that.
See, now this is the conversation.
Earlier in his career, aka when he was in Miami, he said they weren't going to win 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, as a way to prop up the importance of rings and potentially winning them. And now he is downplaying rings.
See?
That's what happens when you stop winning. You had to start downplaying.
I mean,
So, Jim, thoughts on that?
I think he's an idiot.
For
like
what?
The rings matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of playing the game, right? Like, and he's compensating for never being Michael. However you want to write history, buddy.
Does help revise it very simply.
But that also, like, I love how we have not we, the four of us don't, but like the media world has short memory. Like, doesn't this only lead credence to Stephen A. Smith's, like, arguments? But we're not going to hit on that.
Which arguments?
That, like, he kind of just tries to control the narrative the entire time and does things in ways that make him look better, and that's the only thing he cares about.
Taco Tuesday, Jim.
So this makes me feel even yuckier because now I have to agree with Stephen A. Smith.
It do be like that sometimes.
So
which brings us into the NFL. Travis Hunter officially signed his rookie deal, a 4-year, $46.65 million deal with $30.57 million paid up front as a signing bonus, setting a new record, and he becomes the first non-quarterback to get his entire signing bonus up front.
Jeez.
good for him.
Not a bad way to start your NFL career.
Now I just hope, his college coach invested in teaching those young folks how to manage their money.
Let's be really honest about somebody like Travis Hunter, Jim. I bet he's already taken in $5+ million in his life.
But I mean, like, that's where the coaching at Colorado from fine coaches like Deion Sanders really pays off.
I'm not sure if you're prodding Alex on this or if you have a genuine take.
No, he's prodding.
I'm probably waiting to see what happens.
I am not taking the bait on purpose.
Waiting to see what happens.
Has Deion even back in Colorado yet? Is he even coaching?
I don't even know. That's a great question. We need a
running
Deion
any of
watch.
his camps that he's supposed to be running?
Well, I don't. Not yet. I don't think. But there are some Sanders running amok in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Shedeur gets cited for the second time in the past month.
I missed this.
For speeding a couple weeks ago. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Going how fast,
100
Alex?
miles per hour.
Oh, so this is still we're on the first one. The show's just catching up.
No, the second one is the one that hit the news. The first one was not known about broadly until after the fact.
Oh, okay. So there's been 2 speeding tickets.
There's
Like
been
he played for
2,
Georgia.
I think.
All right.
So I don't know. Maybe that's what Daddy-O's doing.
Busy bailing him
Out
out.
in Cleveland, and
I mean, we said that last time. We think he's in Cleveland. You want to find
you
him?
guys
That's
said
where
that.
he is. I know. I didn't say you. I said me and Alex.
yeah. Jair Alexander gets a deal with the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year contract as he comes over from the Packers. Big deal, I think, overall when you think of the AFC North and adding a key piece to the Ravens to help maybe get them over the top, especially on the defensive backfields part of the field. Nate, what do you feel about Jair Alexander to the Ravens?
I think it's a really good get that I think a lot of other teams would have liked to have gotten. And his deal was only for like I think $4 million or something, so he took a really friendly deal to come over to Baltimore. So I'm sure other fan bases are like, "You couldn't have done that."
Yeah, I think he is definitely searching for a ring, and this is a gap year as far as his playing career, and he's looking for a bigger paycheck after this 1-year deal.
Mhm.
So we'll see where that goes. Also in Baltimore, although not with a current Baltimore player, free agent, former Ravens kicker Justin Tucker suspended 10 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy after multiple sexual misconduct claims with massage therapists, things of that nature. Just think of Deshaun Watson. We're just right in the same avenue here.
There has to be
So
some validity to it if they're giving him 10 games. So
And that's typically been our stance: is when there's smoke, there's fire, right?
yeah, no, and that's what I mean. Like,
when there's that much smoke, yes.
yeah.
I forget. Nate, do you remember? Was it 6+?
Is the amount of therapists?
Yeah, the amount of allegations, people. I think it was more than
I don't know
6.
the exact number, but that sounds like a fair estimate from what has been
Yeah.
published out there.
And
Yes.
like, this happened after the
This
other
was-
massage therapist issues. This wasn't like,
This was earlier.
yeah, they were kind of like,
oh,
yeah,
This was like
it was
earlier
brought
in
to
his
light
career,
later,
I think.
but
Yeah.
So
Oh.
here's my thing, and I'm just riffing here. And Muff, feel free to mute me if you'd want. We get too far in the weeds, and I might get canceled. Isn't there some kind of like RICO thing that should be started, where like we have NFL players, we have massage therapists, we have NFL owner, massage therapist. Aren't we starting to make a connection between NFL and massage therapy, where there's sexual
Maybe class
misconduct?
action, Jim. I think you're looking at class action. RICO would be like pooling funds together for illegal things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think the massages are illegal, Jim. I think it's what the players do against the massage therapist's will that is illegal.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair. But aren't like... All right, yeah, we'll stick with that for right
It's not
now.
racketeering, Jim. I'm just going to say it's not racketeering that's involved.
All right, we're going to stick with this. That's fine, I agree with you. Shouldn't there be an investigation that NFL players are like all in on this behavior?
like it's happened.
Some, like a ring of, hey, let's go do this.
This is like a Kyle Snyder situation. I'm going to do a massage therapist sting.
My
Maybe.
my comment honestly is going to be, well, who do we think's next?
See?
So I will say I kind of agree with Jim. This concept here that it seems like maybe this doesn't stop here.
It may not. I don't know if we can speculate as to who would be next.
No, I know.
I think that's the
I
question
know,
mark
I
you
know
guys
that.
are
I don't
proposing,
mean that
yes?
like speculate down to that level. I just mean in general, like someone. I feel like there's more that's going to keep coming to light.
This mentality in the NFL, and I know it's like, well, they get a lot of money, they're young guys, they're taking hits to the head, they're barbarians. But like this mentality is like groupthink is what I'm driving at. Like they all have this
Like,
thought process.
why do they all think it's okay to just do that?
Yeah, the disregard for humans.
But we also shouldn't say that because there's a lot of guys that probably don't feel that way. So, but there's enough that have made one sour grape will spoil the whole bunch or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Alex and I are on the same page.
With this, yes.
Yeah.
With this, yes. Let's not go back to Deion Sanders or anything like that. You guys are on the same page for this.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
take those small wins we can get on this show.
Amen.
Alex, while you're down south, when you're in Florida, did you come across any Steelers fans? Want to talk about Aaron Rodgers? Want to talk about
I can't
maybe
say.
George Pickens not running a youth football camp?
I can't say that I did. But
How about this? How about in your family? How does your family feel about Aaron Rodgers?
they are not really thrilled. They kind of think we
Not
are
you,
taking the old
your
man
family.
and being a retirement home. Like that he's a little washed up and we could have done better. So, not
Well, you only got him for a year.
yes. So my take is I just hope that he genuinely is a
We could have done better.
good mentor for Will Howard.
The franchise.
We said that about Kenny Pickett, so I'm
I
not going
mean-
that far.
We also hope that people would mentor George Pickens, which did not happen, to the tune now that George Pickens, after he was traded to the Cowboys and committed to running his own football camp in Pittsburgh 2 weeks before the camp was slated to start, said, "Just joking, guys. I'm not coming back. Sorry about it."
Rude.
Pat Fryermuth and others have stepped up to run the camp, so that was George Pickens' parting blow to the Pittsburgh area.
Can't say I blame him.
I do. There's a level
Of
of
you do.
You can blame him. You can very explicitly blame him for doing this
yes.
shit.
There is a level
Screw
of
Pittsburgh.
commitment. You committed to children, and
That's fair. That's fair. I take it back. I walk it back. I'm with Alex. You're right. Not so much Muff.
you
but
could have said
definitely
yes,
Alex.
but I'm not wearing Steeler gear. I'd have been okay with that. Just gonna wear neutral athletic gear.
Yeah. That's great. That's a good way to think about it too. I
You know
agree.
what, Alex? Just bring C.J. Godwin with him. Goodwin
There
with
you go.
him. You know? Could have been it. Could have been the one. All right. Anything else in the NFL of note? Nate, you keep up with this pretty well.
Nothing that I can recall that we haven't discussed.
All right. Now for the college football offseason, take it away, whoever put this in there.
I did because I thought it was funny.
Oh, boy.
Louisiana Supreme Court ruled Friday that former LSU coach Eddie O owes his ex-wife nearly half of the buyout he received from LSU in their divorce. So he has to pay out for the
Oh
buyout.
boy.
Nearly half. Not half.
Nearly half.
So this went up through the
Buyout
Supreme
was, for
Court.
those who don't remember.
It was a big sum
It's a chunk of change.
because he was the one that said, "Where's the door? Where do I sign? Where's the
Yeah.
door?"
And apparently, so did she.
This went up through the Supreme Court in the state of Louisiana. Is this, I'm assuming, because he was a state employee?
I would assume so.
This should be a civil matter otherwise, yes?
Right. That was the funny part to me.
Yeah, when you said Supreme Court, I figured
Yeah.
that was what caught your attention.
She gets $8 million.
Okay. So it was
Yeah.
probably about a $20 million buyout then, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Yep. He received nearly 17. She
Okay.
gets
Hopefully
8.
he didn't use it all.
Spend it all on hookers, blow, and steaks?
That sounds about like Eddie.
Ischio, dog. All right. In other interesting news in sports,
Interesting news in sports.
Sports.
first, we enter the collegiate wrestling world as 2026 high school graduating wrestling prodigy Bo Bassett has decommitted from the University of Iowa, begging the question, where will he end up?
He's got his short list. It's down to Oklahoma State, Penn State, I think Virginia Tech. But it's down to 2, really. It's going to be Oklahoma State, where one of his former teammates has committed, or Penn State.
I think he has a brother that's a year younger than him.
Yes, he
That I'm
does.
sure is part of this whole situation, whether or not it's said out loud or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumor and innuendo as to why he decommitted. He was not participating in anything 2 weeks prior to the decommit. He lost in the qualifiers of the Worlds. That was a bit of controversy. He cites faith and his, how do I phrase this? His pursuit of God. And that's why he's
Like he feels
decommitting.
like he's getting a holy sign.
Is he going to go to BYU?
More like the insinuation that Chael Sonnen took from it was that he's taking the moral high ground and insinuating that maybe things in Iowa were not the way he wanted them ethically.
So, the Iowa program is not necessarily the most, we'll say, I'm not going to say up and up, but
Well, I've heard
maybe
that before.
they're rooted in some old school ways that don't resonate with the new crowd.
Yeah, that was what one could take away from it. is what Chael's trying to say. And Chael says, "Look, I think that's BS. And if you're a man of God, wouldn't you stick to your word?" Chael goes off the deep end as Chael does.
Yeah.
Um, many others, sideline, mat side pundits would say Penn State and Oklahoma State are rolling out the Brinks truck and the NIL money, which I could totally see. I would say he goes to Oklahoma State if I was guessing.
I mean, there's definitely, as far as weight, I mean, Oklahoma State's a little bit more wide open right now as far as a roster.
And the lower weights is tougher.
Yeah.
At Oklahoma State, he has probably a harder road to hoe there. But I think the teammate going there is going to play a factor, I would think.
Definitely not going to hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, he doesn't graduate till a year from now. So
yeah,
he's got time to figure this out.
Change his mind some more.
Yeah. Say, hey, This is what they gave me. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And ask the good Lord Jeebus what he's going to do next.
Former
Penn State and Nittany Lion Wrestling Club wrestler Carter Starachi in some hot water over some allegations of sexual activity with minors, theft, and maybe some other issues with teammates, including specifically Bo Bartlett, who came out and talked about a potential theft situation, which was maybe swept under the rug, as well as some less than savory photos that were taken of some teammates in the locker room by Starachi and shared on some team Snapchat messages. And there have been others, especially at the time, maybe some minors who felt like they were groomed and then are claiming that they were sexually assaulted by Starachi. Starachi has been removed from the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club at this point, and Bo Bartlett had left the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club within the past 6 months and is now at, I think, another one in the New York area.
So I will say,
we will see where this one goes, because this could be a big deal.
Yeah, and I will
in the wrestling world as far as this type of stuff.
I will say I don't say this at all to downplay the situation, but I was curious, and I went and I was actually reading about this today, and the minor thing was like, I guess he was 22 and she was 17, which is still 100% wrong. Not in any way defending it, but I was like, oh my god, because at first I was thinking like a 12-year-old boy at wrestling camp. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind went to, like something horrible.
Okay.
Which again, still horrible, but
yeah. Alex went straight to Jerry Sandusky.
Yes, I really did.
Not the case.
Sorry.
Penn
State has made questionable.
So I'm sure that we'll hear more about this in the next 6 months, and if this was an issue with how some of this was handled within the coaching staff, we'll see what that leads to when you think of Cale Sanderson, that staff, and the Penn State athletic department. In MMA... go ahead.
I think that obviously all that behavior, terrible. I think that between him and Kyle Snyder and the way that even Bo Bassett, I think the way that these individuals carry themselves is far more detrimental than they realize. Aside from their own personal actions, like which to me is the most detrimental, but they're also going to hurt the sport.
Yeah.
Like this sport is on its last legs all of the time. You know, there's colleges wanting to kill programs to save money, especially in this NIL atmosphere, that like you can't give them a reason at all. And you do stupid shit like this. Gone are the days of fucking around in a locker room, let alone the sexual assault bullshit. You know, you just this is just stupid.
Like effing around in the locker room didn't used to involve like taking a picture of someone's butt,
right?
You know,
right. I mean, we had what happened at Northwestern, then you have stuff like this coming out.
It's just a little weird,
right? Yeah, and I mean, as Jim said, like a sport that seems to always be on its last leg, and you're looking at wrestlers being dismissed from these wrestling clubs, which is what helps to keep the sport and
Right.
these young wrestlers growing, developing, so that you have these top tier wrestlers who put on a good show, are competitive, and help bring eyes to the sport. Now you're going to have some of these people potentially not in
Yeah.
these wrestling rooms, and all it's going to ultimately do, aside from hurt the people that are being hurt, is hurt the development of young wrestlers and the development of the sport itself.
I mean, we got three names like we've talked about on the show so far. You got Bo Bassett, who he decommits. That's your choice, man. I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
But you decommit. But when you look at the effects of what that'll do to Iowa, it'll put won't necessarily take them out, but it'll put a little gray on them. It'll be a little harder for them to recruit and build that program. You look at Starocci. Penn State has enough issues with Sandusky. Now they have their program. Like, how quick is Penn State going to be like, Chael, you're amazing. We want you to keep winning. But if you got to rein this shit in, and those guys are the poster boys of wrestling right now. And then you got Kyle Snyder, the Olympic hero, messing around with prostitutes. I mean, those are three faces, Penn State, Bo Bassett, and Kyle, that like, you all have fucked up. And you guys are supposed to be representing the sport, not to mention the damage you're causing to human life in some cases. Like, it's not good.
And when you think about Iowa, I mean, that's the brand's brother brand.
Right.
Right. And they can't hold on to a top commit that they bring in.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say they were lucky enough, but you got to remember they got Spencer Lee and Austin DeSanto at a time when Penn State was vying for both of them. And they flipped them to Iowa. And since then, I mean, not since then, but through that time, Penn State still dominated them. And they had two of the top recruits from the state of Pennsylvania in the nation, and they still couldn't turn around. And now they can't hold on to the next big one.
Yep.
Right. So
and then,
I think there's a
that
lot to
makes
be said about Brands brothers right now.
And it makes it very easy for smaller schools to be like, if the big guys are acting like idiots, let one of our guys act like idiots. We'll kibosh the whole thing.
Yeah. Yikes, yikes, yikes. In the MMA world?
Yeah. Yeah. Who put this in there?
I think Nate may have got this one in there.
Yeah, I just saw the videos of the knockout on Instagram today.
Yeah, so I don't know how to say the guy's name.
Charles Oliveira.
I know that part. It's the one who did the knocking of out. Ilya Tupuria
I don't know how to say his name. So
knocked Charles Oliveira out. First round. Night. Goodbye.
that was like a short right, wasn't it? Just like straight to the jaw. Boom, done.
Yeah, and he was cut on his right brow, too.
Which is sweet. Cool. Becomes the face of that division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I don't want to underplay the knockout, but awesome. Joe Rogan goes to interview him, and Joe Rogan kind of goes rogue and kind of baits the situation into a confrontation between Patty the Batty and Tupuria. And here Dana White had gone home afterwards, had left. And when it went to presser time, Dana was pissed. Did not want that confrontation to happen at all, and said as much. He says, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should never have happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that never would have happened. You know who let him in there? Joey Rogan. So, I think that's funny. Like, well, you should have been there, bud.
Yeah, I mean, you knew Patty was in the crowd.
And Joe Rogan's got a mic.
And Joe's got a mic. And let's be honest, Patty Bimblett is not somebody that shies away from an opportunity to say his piece.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from microphones or pizza.
Good call out, Muff. Thank you.
I mean, he's hilarious with his weight fluctuation.
Yeah.
So you see him standing in the ring next to a guy that he would be in the same weight class as. You would not have expected that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, this is a fight that I think everybody wants to see. I think that Dana will find a way to make it happen. I also don't know how quickly he's going to find a way to make it happen.
Who's he got left?
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, you've got to give I mean, I understand it was a TKO in round 1. You got to give him at least probably 3 or 4 months, yeah?
Yeah, probably 3 months.
So, but I will look forward to that and probably buy that fight. Truth be told.
All right, go ahead.
Fight party.
All right, in the basketball world, what do we
I
got?
said fight party.
Here we go. In the basketball world, the Buss family sells the majority stake in the Lakers to Mark Walter, who also has controlling ownership of the LA Dodgers, Chelsea, and the Premier League, and a couple other sports. I think the Los Angeles Sparks. The Lakers were valued at $10 billion with billion with a B, with the Buss family keeping a 15% stake for the time being. To put this into context,
You can't.
the Lakers have been owned by the Buss family since '79, when Jerry Buss purchased the franchise for $67.5 million, in which he also got the Los Angeles Kings and the Forum.
He bought 2 franchises for that.
And their family just sold one of them. Well, didn't sell entirely. They sold the controlling stake of a $10 billion organization.
10 billion.
That's wild.
Crazy. Highest valued franchise in all of sports and sports history.
Which doesn't necessarily surprise me. I mean, other than think like, what other big sports franchises could you see being worth more?
The Cowboys?
Cowboys is the one that people usually throw out.
What about like
Because you also have the stadium. You got to figure that.
I could see.
Yankees.
I'm thinking like things that you place like teams that you see everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have the Yankees fans all over the place.
Well, my question is, the evaluation, is it based on obviously brand, all
And
that?
that's the thing too. Like, people that don't even care about baseball just wear Yankees hats. It looks cool. You know what I mean? Like,
But then you also have the value of what physical property comes
True.
with that.
And I don't know if the Lakers don't own that. I don't believe.
Right.
Do they?
So when you look at Dallas, I'm pretty sure Jerry has some ownership
I think he has full ownership
of Jerry World.
of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Jerry World.
So like, if Jerry were to sell it, you got to figure it'd be higher, right?
If he
I
sold the building,
suspect that it
too.
would be.
Right. So, but to me, this is the highest. Then, because Jerry won't sell, then Jerry World. The Yankees, do they own the stadium?
Yankee Stadium, probably.
I have no idea. I mean, I've got to imagine they've got a good part of it. They have partial ownership. I don't know if they have full
Red
ownership
Sox?
though.
Then honestly, I don't know what is after
The
that.
Red Sox.
Nate, Red Sox.
Maybe I'm just trying to think what else is.
Probably the Pirates. And we don't.
You may
Probably
have
the Pirates,
some-
and we don't know. I mean, we don't put it back into the team.
Yeah, they're fifth.
I mean, we see Pirates hats all over the
Yeah.
place. They were a
Yeah, they're
staple of the '80s and '90s hip hop
Yeah.
team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We just don't put the money back in the team.
sure.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to imagine that there are some soccer franchises.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. That's good.
that
one.
have because
Crazy money.
there's a lot of money that we don't even realize.
Yep. You're right. I forgot about that.
Because you got to think about the value of the players that are on the team.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
addition to all of that, I think there's a lot to be said there. But no, I mean, when this came out, this was pretty nuts. So
It blew my mind.
yeah,
It's just one that they would sell. But then I started digging into like, and you brought it up, and I dug into that. Was like, apparently there's a lot of sports owners looking to get out while they're on the high.
these family owned, right? These
Yeah.
ones that got these franchises for less than 100 million in like the 60s, 70s, and have just held on to it. And it's just like, you know what? Maybe it's time.
Sell the team, Bob.
There was some
Sell it.
like Pittsburgh fan page that posted this like dude with like this rockin' dad bod and like laying on the beach like this, and he wrote "shell the team" and like seashells in front of him, like Pirates hat. I was like, that's kind of funny.
I don't know. There was a chant for fire someone at the Red Sox game Friday night.
So everyone's disgruntled, not just us.
You sure it wasn't a hot dog vendor?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. Bring us into some baseball talk. It's been a couple weeks, but the College Baseball World Series did see an end. specifically the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina, having their, was it like 27-game win streak, Nate? Somewhere in that range?
Upper 20s.
Yeah, come to an end in the final series as they lose 2 in a row to LSU, which included a game 2 where the Chanticleers manager and first base coach were tossed really early in the game for arguing balls and strikes, even for over-arguing, which I did not realize that was something that could happen, and potentially getting additional games added on to that. Nate, we've had a lot of time to look at this, digest this, put this into perspective. Do you think that home plate umpire was in the right? And what would you have done in that situation?
He wouldn't have fallen on his ass.
Well, that was, I think, that wasn't home plate umpire.
I mean, to be arguing balls and strikes that early, like, even, I guess the big thing they said was, he goes, you've already missed 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what set it over the edge, is that guy's edge that tossed him, which later everybody found out that he was demoted from the major leagues for tossing guys too quick, which I think point proven here. I mean, unless he's vulgar about it or whatever, you just tell him, Coach, this is your warning. Go back to the bench anymore, and you're going to be out of here. Now,
Nate, have you ever tossed anybody?
Once, my second or third year, it was a little league game, but
I knew he was going to say that.
What happened?
No, the only time when I take that back, it was a summer league Legion game. I did have a toss a kid, but he was cursing across the field at the opponent's dugout, and I told him, "Look, you can't be doing that," and he just wouldn't let it go. And I said, "Dude, you're done." Dumped him.
I just can't imagine you throwing anybody out.
Yeah, what happens in a
Little league game was the same thing. Like, guys, like, "Oh my God, how do you miss that out call at home?" I'm like, "It's not even close." And same thing, like, we're on like a batter or two later, and he's not letting it go. Probably because it was Daddy's kid that got called out at the plate or didn't make the plate, whatever.
What were the words that you said when you tossed him?
Who, the Little League guy?
Yeah, Little League guy.
Gosh, it was so long ago, I don't honestly remember. I just remember him, like, stomping out of the third base dugout when I told him to get out of there.
All right.
But, like, the Legion game, the kid was, like, yelling back at the dugout, or the kid that just got switched pitching or whatever, and, like, was, like, cursing at him the whole time. I'm like, dude, you need to calm down. Like, I'm like, if you want to say something in passing, fine, I probably won't care. But when you're yelling across the diamond at the opposing dugout, then I got to do something about it. Like, it wasn't even one of those times where I could go up to the coach and say, hey, he's said X, Y, Z. I mean, everybody clearly saw and heard him. I'm like, dude, you got to.
One, it makes you look bad if you don't get control of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Like, I had that happen once this year where I could have tossed the kid, and I probably should have, because he called me a blind-ass motherfucker, but he said it was walking right past me.
Well, did you make a bad call?
There was one, it was a drop third strike, and he's running the first, and he was out by a step and a half to 2 steps. And, of course, he thought he was safe. Well, I go up to the head coach in between innings whenever he was going back in the outfield. I'm like, hey, I should have tossed him, but since he didn't make a scene about it, I'm just letting you know this happened. Well, the coach decided to take him out of the game on his own. I'm like, that's fine. Like, I don't care. I'm just telling you, he makes one more remark, he looks at me the wrong fucking way, he's gone.
Did you say those words to the coach?
No, I told him, I said, look, this is what he said. I said, whatever you want to do about it, I don't care. I'm just letting you know, I should have tossed him, but I didn't, because I know in high school, you toss a dude, he's going to miss 10% of his season. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that, like, unless it's warranted. Like, just because he said it, whatever, he didn't make it like a big deal about it. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. I can respect that he's going to say that just walking by me or whatever. But
well, and I actually respect the coach for being like, yeah, I'll take care of it. But he probably appreciated you for not losing his player.
Well, no, you know what he told me? You should have tossed him. That way I could have kicked him off the team. He's a pain in my ass.
That's great. You should. I mean, did you have your glasses on? Did you say I'm not blind? That's why I wear these, motherfucker. Get out of my face.
Oh
Get out
no,
my face.
I did snap back at a coach that I know the other week or two ago. No, last week when it was like a 90-some degree day and I was out on turf or whatever. And it was a 10-inning game,
Mm-hmm.
and he was whining and crying or whatever. I said, "That's enough of that shit." And I turned around because he was like, oh, our guys are out here busting our ass in the 90-degree heat. I said, don't give me that shit. Because I'm like, so are we, and so is the other team.
GTFO.
I'm like, maybe you shouldn't try to get your guy in a rundown between third and home in the bottom of the seventh and try to walk it off.
Bingo.
And get thrown out of the plate like a dumbass.
Yeah.
Bad managing. Bad managing. Bad, bad, bad.
Bad.
Jim?
Yeah.
I need to know if you know the nickname of the best hitting catcher in the league right now, Cal Raleigh.
Nope.
30-plus home runs as we approach the All-Star break. Nate, I would like you to tell Jim his nickname.
Oh, I can't remember what it is without having to look it up.
The first part rhymes with rig.
Big Jim.
Jesus Christ. Big Dumper. Cal Raleigh, a.k.a. Big Dumper, because he has a big old booty, Jim. And he's hitting bombs. I just needed you to know that there is a baseball player who has the nickname Big Dumper. And, yeah, apparently it's catching on. So I hope we get to see Big Dumper.
Was that pun
in
intended because he's a catcher?
Bingo. I hope we get to see him in the Home Run Derby. I hope we get to see him all throughout All-Star Weekend when this time comes.
Big Dumper.
Because I just want to have announcers on ESPN and other major broadcast networks have to say
And
Big
explain
Dumper.
why they're saying Big Dumper. That's important.
Big Dumper with a deep fly ball to left center. Going.
Look at him
Gone.
coming over.
He's got to change.
Like a dump.
He's got to change his skivvies after that one with that Big Dumper.
I
That's
like
what I
it.
want.
I'm glad you put this in there.
I just want that to happen. And lastly, in baseball, while the Pirates may have made history over the weekend by sweeping the Mets and having the most runs and limiting the Mets to the 4 runs over the weekend series, you heard that right. History made, Nate.
And
History
positive.
made. Limiting the Mets to 4 runs and scoring, was it 37?
Sure.
1901, I think, is as far back as these records go. Pirates are the first team to ever do this.
We never get positive.
But it's not all great in Pittsburgh. O'Neal Cruz again put his lackluster, lackadaisical play on display in center field as he let a ball get past him in center field and then just stopped. Let the right fielder back it up, throw it in, and then the day later, he gets pulled from the game because Don Kelly, manager of the Pirates, said he was removed for lack of effort and energy. This is straight out of the movie Heavyweights, people.
I appreciate.
Nate, Alex, you guys keep up with this. Is it time to find a way for O'Neal Cruz to get out of Pittsburgh?
No, you just bench him for a couple games.
Yeah, show him that you're not gonna you don't care how good he is. You're not taking his shit. I love that. I love that they benched him.
Yeah.
I think for like 3 innings, and then he was out there starting the next day.
But that's still, I mean, he did something.
Well, he made up for it today with some couple of homers.
Did he? I didn't see his stats from today. But in Pittsburgh, while the Pirates may not be able to sell out PNC Park, the Savannah Bananas can, as they had 2 of their upcoming games at PNC Park sell out within the first 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, like people that got like on the lottery or whatever to get tickets didn't get them or something. So they're sold out. It's that quick.
So we can have the Savannah Bananas sell out PNC Park within 3 hours. We can't figure out a way to make this work. For the Pirates, where do we think this money goes? Straight into the nutting pocketbook?
Yeah.
Now, some of it's got to go back to the Bananas, right?
Some of it does, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're paying the Bananas to come to your park probably.
100%. 100%. All right, anything else from the sports world, gents?
This isn't
7
from
weeks till college
this
football.
isn't from the sports world, but I had a crazy thing happen to me on the plane ride home. Not really that to me, but they actually said, "Is there a medical professional on this plane?" And
Uh-oh.
What did you say? Did you raise your
no,
hand?
I did not raise my hand. But it was so crazy. Like, I just didn't know they actually do that. Like, is there a doctor on the plane? And they did. And I was like, fudge. So I'm like, okay. So I look, and I'm like, if no one gets up, I'll get up. and like 4 people were jumped in that, like ready to go, and I'm like, "Yep, perfect, perfect." So
I thought you were going to say this was like a Hippocratic Oath situation where you do
That's what
no
I
harm,
thought.
and you were like, "I've had 6 beers
no,
today. I should not raise
no,
my hand."
no. You actually can get in a little bit of, like, deep trouble though, depending on if you get like out of your scope and stuff. But my stepmom was there too, and she's a nurse practitioner. So when the flight attendant came back, we were like, "Hey, look, we're medical professionals, but it seems like it's handled. If you need more help, let us know. We're back here." But she's like, "I think
Is
we're."
that when you said?
She's like, "I think we're okay, but thank you." Like, yeah,
Is that when you told him that you were the expert at taking things out of
yeah. I
people's
was like, "Oh,
butts?
did someone sit on a cucumber again?"
Oh God! And with
I,
that,
I would have loved if that was the question that you asked. Listen, this may be a little bit out of my area of expertise and speciality, but if there's something up somebody's
You let
pooper,
me know.
let me pull it out of that big dumper. And as a reminder, you can catch us at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, do all the things, because we're on the journey to 100 subscribers.
and I wonder what's keeping us from getting there.
Big dumpers.
Big dumpers.